10 best. Number 10 best.
It's rare that it takes 4 tries for a video game series to get it right, but that's exactly the case with Resident Evil 4.
It's actually scary. And one of the biggest differences is just that Spanish peasants are slightly faster than zombies.
Always known more for cheap scares than tight gameplay, all that changes with a brand new over-the-shoulder view.
They put the camera behind me. The graphics were beautiful, making the GameCube look like an Xbox.
Lumbering zombies are swapped out for crazed villagers, giving the series a sense of urgency it never had. And it gives you the sense that Resident Evil 4 is one of the 10 best games of all time.
You just shoot everyone in the head, and their heads explode, and it's a celebration. It's a fantasy of light and color.
Number 9 best.
Just like that new kid down the street that has a trampoline, a little game called Halo continues to help the Xbox platform make some easy friends.
Halo provided an experience in multiplayer and single player that, spawned one of the greatest franchises in gaming history.
It's one of my favorite console games for first-person shooters. I think it really hit home, even with me.
With enigmatic Master Chief as the lead character, the rebounding health meter is copied more times than a leaked exam. But what ultimately makes it a mega hit is its multiplayer.
People play this game, not just a single player, but they play it multiplayer, they play it over their friends' houses, they dress up as Master Chief.
LAN parties have become cool, a lot of nerds are finally scoring dates, and Halo finds itself inside the top 10 games of all time at number 9. Now if Peter Jackson could just finish the movie.
Number 8 best.
A gruff secret agent, a winding story, and cigarettes?
Metal Gear Solid basically invented the stealth game.
It's the perfect formula to usher in the era of adult video games.
Metal Gear Solid was like this amazing breakthrough in stealth gaming.
I'm here to save you.
One of the first cinematic games, Metal Gear Solid's plot is 1 part twisting and 3 parts confusing.
You throw them into this crazy story with awesome weapons, awesome gadgets, awesome gear.
Captivating, inventive, and gritty. Metal Gear Solid is your choice as the 8th best game of all time.
It just spawned the stealth action genre, which everyone's trying to copy to this day.
Number 7 best.
Grand Theft Auto 3 broke more than a few molds and faces when it debuted in 2001, creating a brand new genre and taking the overhead 2D perspective from the old GTAs into the 3rd dimension in the process.
Grand Theft Auto. That's my favorite game of all time. Like you get to be your own person on it. You get to have the most freedom of any game I played.
Imitators have come and gone, but no game has perfected the formula like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
San Andreas really perfected the concept of sandbox gaming.
With a completely customizable character that changes according to your playing habits, San Andreas is the epitome of free-roaming games, and your pick for the 7th best game of all time.
So Grand Theft Auto is a great game because it allows thugs in training the opportunity to practice things like vandalism and carjacking and building criminal empires without ever having to leave the safety of their own government-subsidized housing.
Number 6 best.
The Final Fantasy series is one of the most popular games out there. Its stories are filled with love and betrayal and oddly androgynous characters.
If anyone ever makes 10 games of one game title, I think it's pretty addictive.
The most popular installment of this beloved RPG is Final Fantasy VII.
The game took a franchise that was already popular but kind of underground. It took it into the mainstream. It utilized the hardware capabilities of the PlayStation platform to take RPGs into a next generation.
FF7 is also the first game to be driven by incredibly detailed cinemas and features an on-screen death that moves some players to tears.
Number 5 best.
It's time for Tecmo Bowl, the original football game that started the sports franchise craze. Without Tecmo Bowl, Madden would just be another sportscaster.
What we had before Tecmo Bowl to when Tecmo Bowl was created, it was unbelievable. It was like
difference between like a horse and buggy versus a car.
It's the first game to include real teams and players. It's also incredibly easy to just pick up and play.
You could just take a player and just start running around the field for like 90 seconds.
As proof that a game doesn't have to be complex to be fun, Tecmo Bowl has armchair quarterbacks in the huddle at number 5 on our list. Lots of Mario games were in the mix, so we put the top 2 vote-getters together, Super Mario World and Super Mario 64.
The great thing about Super Mario World is that it understands what's good about Super Mario Brothers, that it understands that platforming is about jumping from thing to thing.
Its aerial gameplay and the triumphant debut of Yoshi and his acrobatic tongue all make it the best 2D Mario game in existence. And few characters jump boldly into the third dimension the way Mario has.
Mario looks like Ron Jeremy. I don't know if that's intentional or what.
I still love Mario Brothers.
Super Mario 64 is the first game to truly nail 3D gameplay, with its adjustable camera and near-perfect controls.
Mario 64 was really the prototype 3D platformer.
It's me, Mario!
It's probably the best one ever, to be honest. Like, they just sort of got worse from there.
The combination of the two make for a groundbreaking concoction of jumping and butt stomping that seats the series squarely into the 4th position. Arcades used to steal more quarters than a recliner, and Street Fighter II was the prime suspect.
People still love to play the classic Street Fighter fighting game. Even in tournaments, these kids line up to play the old sprite-based Street Fighter II.
Hyper fighting is so well balanced that it's still the tournament fighter of choice 14 years after its release.
You know, $10 a game, $1 a round, $2 a game, $2 a round, whatever, and that was a big part of that. I made a lot of money playing Street Fighter II.
Street Fighter 2 is so badass that they actually took one of their main characters, put a blonde wig on him, and then made you play all over again.
Its characters are still some of the most recognized in the biz, along with its patented battle cry,
Number 2 best.
Stacking blocks is fun for kids, but who would have ever thought full-grown adults would become addicted to it? Computer engineers from communist Russia, that's who.
Only people smothered by a repressive communist regime could find a way to make falling geometric blocks fun. And they did. Thanks, communism.
The original creator isn't making a dime from his idea, but the Russian government sure is.
Well, Tetris, I think, was actually one of the very first competitive games I actually played one-on-one.
For such a simple concept, it's hard to believe that it's still being released, basically unchanged to this day. As the epitome of elegant, timeless design, Tetris stacks up as the 2nd best video game of all time.
Tetris, the block falling game, I curse you.
Number 1 best.
Turning Zelda's 2D sprites into a fully 3D world wasn't enough for Nintendo. Instead, it had to go and reinvent the sword with Ocarina of Time for the N64.
Great graphics and a great epic story. It was kind of like Lord of the Rings, but with Super Mario's kind of gameplay.
One of the boss battles is in the belly of a giant fish. You can't argue with that.
The thing about Zelda, though, is there's so many good power-ups. Like there's the bomb and the boomerang and the bow and arrow.
It really set the point for all new games that are coming forward to start using that model.
All of a sudden you're dropped in on horseback, you know, sword flinging through one of the greatest adventures of all time.
With tons of features that are now industry standards, it's a walking patent office. Lock-on combat, automatic jumping, traveling on horseback, and a story with plenty of twists not only make Ocarina of Time a classic, it's your choice as the best video game of all time.